Hey, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams. Pardon me a little bit for my voice. I'm battling through a little bit of laryngitis, but the show must go on. And, we were talking about beach binging. What do you watch this weekend as you go out to the beach or to the lake? Maybe some of you like to go to the mountains. Maybe you just decide to stay home and just watch things, with your family and friends in a staycation. Well, I'll tell you what, this weekend, put away the Netflix, put away our friends at Amazon, the rest of them. We're going to do something different. We're going to do Broadway HD, an outstanding service. We've reviewed a number of the programs that they have on there. And this weekend, we want you to do some beach binging with a multi-Tony Award-winning show. It's a musical. It's great for the entire family. It's perfect for a warm summer night. And it is called Kinky Boots. And with us to discuss Kinky Boots and, of course, all things Broadway HD, ladies and gentlemen, our dear friends, the driving forces behind Broadway HD and the executive producers of Kinky Boots, Stewart Lane and Bonnie Comley. Gang, great to be speaking with you. Let's talk about Kinky Boots.
Well, it ran 7 years on Broadway, 6 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, and then 3 years in the West End with 3 Oliviers, including Best Musical. So it's big, it's beautiful.
It's spectacular. We really captured the essence of a big time drag show on stage. It's colorful, and in spite of all that, it's really family entertainment. So it's great to really share it with everyone.
Let's talk a little bit about, for those who don't know anything about Kinky Boots, try to give us an overview.
Well, it's from a British film that was written like 15 years ago, I think, then turned into a musical, music by Cyndi Lauper with a book by Harvey Fierstein, premiered out of town in Chicago, and then came to Broadway and ran for 7 years and won 6 Tony Awards, and then headed around the country and around the world. But it's as Stu said, it's a really great family story because it's and I think something that we can all relate to. It's a young man who, grows up and go to college, and now I'm going to head off and go see the world. And his father passes away, and he's inherited his shoe factory. And so it's kind of like, well, I already had other plans. I'm leaving. But this business and this town is going to sort of collapse upon itself if he doesn't pick up and continue with this business. So he's faced with this dilemma, and chooses to at least try to make this boot factory or shoe factory successful, and in that befriends a drag queen who comes up with this great idea of how we can how you can save this shoe factory. It's really heartwarming, and as I said, it's a family story because it's like, do I carry on my parents' this legacy of their business? Somebody who is, he's college educated and he's got a girlfriend and he's ready to hit the road, and then he befriends this drag queen, and you would think they would have absolutely nothing in common, and yet the bond that they find to create this business and make a successful business is really, it's just such a positive story, and I think that's what makes it the family story.
Right. Even though there are differences, great differences between them, they share a lot in common. And one of them is like father issues that they both share and find a bond between them with that. And I think that's sort of the crux of the story, that there are differences with us between people, but there are more similarities than there are differences.
It's a very visual show, which is great. And like you said, it's very colorful. when you guys went about capturing it, what was some of the challenges?
I think, it was, is the
Well, you're trying to capture the essence of
yeah,
it.
Right.
I'm struggling with it, going like, I don't know if it really was challenging. It's such a fun and positive and bright and colorful
Right.
and well done with these production values. I don't think there were a lot of challenges with
Well,
it.
we wanted to create that atmosphere, that party atmosphere that the show had, which is anchored by the heart, the center heart of it, of the similarities. So capturing the confetti and the costumes and the glitz, really with the angles of the camera and with the sound system, hooked in directly with the actors.
Right.
I think we really accomplished that. You'll love it when you see it.
And
The reason go ahead.
Who directed and choreographed the Broadway version and the West End version was on I was going to say on set. He was on stage, which is the set, the entire time while they were shooting. So his input was considered and crucial because he really knew what he wanted this show to look like.
One of the joys of working on the show is that I've worked with some of these people before over the years. I mean, Jerry Mitchell and I go back to when he was a dancer in the Will Rogers Follies on Broadway. And of course, I worked with Harvey Fierstein when I did the original La Cage aux Folles when he was part of the team of Jerry Herman and Arthur Lawrence. It's always great to reunite with old friends and talented people like they are. And that's all part of the joyful experience of doing this sort of thing. Capturing for Broadway HD brings those memories and those relationships to modern day, to today.
So one of the new people to the Broadway space was Cyndi Lauper, who was composed the music and wrote the lyrics for it, and she sort of had to look to Jerry Mitchell and to Harvey. How is this done? And I think that her story of taking a movie and turning it into a musical was really fun too, to see her journey with it and how difficult and how different it is from writing individual songs to have to make a through story, which she did beautifully. It really is a story. It's not just a string of individual songs that are hooked together here.
Well, I think if you're a Cyndi Lauper fan, you know that, I mean, it's hard to have gone through the 80s and early 90s without knowing that Cyndi Lauper probably was the hottest pop star of that time and most prolific in writing. So you've got somebody with those musical chops. If you have someone like you're saying who can channel those chops into making a cohesive story, certainly that comes out the other side the way it did, and that is an award-winning musical.
Yeah, and they did such a great job with it and stayed true to the the original story of the movie. It was a well-loved but much more of a smaller, almost cultish kind of a film, because it was a British film and it was a small film. So I think that this really renewed interest in the original movie as well. So
well, it's kind of like an art house film, kind of like
well, I don't believe it was a studio movie.
Yeah, no, it was I don't know if it's independently produced or something like that. I think it was. But it was it was a cult show, but at the same time, much like Hairspray, it was something that once you channeled it and put it up there, it really just it came to life.
Yeah, well, it has the heart to appeal to a broader audience, and I think some people are judging a book by its cover, of like, oh, Kinky Boots, like why would I have any interest in it? Why would I have anything that I could relate to in it? Right. How even though the movie could appeal to people, they just didn't go see it. But I think with the names and the creative talent that was brought together for the musical, they really pushed it out to a broader audience to appreciate the story.
We'll be back with more of Stream On right after this. Gang, let me tell you about my friends over at Mint Mobile. I made the change, and I gotta tell you, I'm glad I did. Let me ask you a question. If you're still using one of those big wireless providers in 2019, what are you paying for? Well, I'll tell you what you're paying for. Between the expensive retail stores, inflated prices, and hidden fees, you're being taken advantage of because you don't know what you're paying for. All right? They do, but you don't. That's why I'm with Mint Mobile, because Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage that you're used to at a fraction of the cost because everything's online. Mint Mobile saves on retail locations and overhead and passes those savings directly on to you. Now, you guys know that my phone is my livelihood, okay? I'm not going to come out here and tell you that Mint Mobile works if it doesn't work for me, and it works for me. I can obviously make my phone calls, text to make certain that we got our guests for the show, check my emails, and of course, watch videos, whether I'm going from Philadelphia to New York, from DC to Denver, from Los Angeles to San Francisco, doesn't matter. Mint Mobile has got me covered. I've not had any problems using the service whatsoever. The big thing, folks, it's made me able to cut my wireless bill dramatically. Mint Mobile makes it so simple to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text. That's right. With Mint Mobile, stop paying for unlimited data that you never use. Choose between plans with 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of 4G LTE data. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. Keep your own phone number. Keep your existing contacts. It's very simple. Why? Because what you're doing, folks, is you're ditching that old wireless bill, and you're going to start saving with Mint Mobile. Now, here's what I want you to do. To get one of those new wireless plans for only $15 a month and get the plan shipped directly to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/mylastnamewilliams. That's mintmobile.com/WILLIAMS. That's mintmobile.com/Williams, mintmobile.com/WILLIAMS, mintmobile.com. All the information is in the show box below, folks. Do me a favor and do yourself a favor at the same time. Get the best possible coverage at the lowest possible price. You can do that at Mint Mobile. Do it today. Join me as part of the Mint Mobile family. Stream On continues. I think that one of the things that if you go on Broadway HD, which I strongly recommend you do, is you're going to find things that you may never have thought would be something that would interest you, yet it's there, and once you start, you end up getting hooked. And
thank you. I agree with you. I think some people come on for the musicals, and then they find themselves, dipping into Shakespeare or some classic plays that are there. And vice versa. There's people that come on to watch specifically a Shakespeare production and then find themselves hooked on musicals.
Well, I'll give you an example. There's a play on Broadway HD, which I personally highly recommend, which I honestly didn't know much about, but the title itself kind of attracted me. And it was Southern Baptist Sissies.
Oh my goodness.
Is that a great title or what?
I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I'm from the South. Not a Baptist, but no Baptist. Let me see what this is about. And I got to tell you, this is kind of funny, but follow me on this, guys. The old dinner and movie routine. Well, my wife and I started watching plays on Broadway, Broadway HD, where we start with dinner and then we will finish dinner and that we'll stop it. And then the next night we'll come back and pick it up. And then the next night. So for a week, we went through Southern Baptist Sissies, and it was just, it was incredibly powerful. and incredibly well done.
I'm glad you thought that. That's funny because you never know, even with us, when somebody's asking, well, you have over 300 shows there. Which ones should I watch?
Right.
So you try to pick what you would think for this certain person. But it's fun that you that you found that and that you are actually recommending it because it is a great show. It really is a great show.
And it's not for everybody, but it is definitely it's a definitely impactful story. And during Pride Month, especially, it is a show that I would highly recommend. Not just for Pride Month, but, for any time.
Exactly. But, I mean, we try to feature certain things at certain times. So we do have a lot of LGBTQ content that we've, focused and put up on a separate, a rail, we call it, like a row of the shows when you go to the site. And bring things to people's attention and group them together with a sort of like, if you like this one, maybe you like that one. Yeah, we're trying to curate and bring things to people that they might not have noticed otherwise, or might have missed. I mean, and that's the whole thing with Broadway HD is getting people to see shows that they missed. They didn't get to Broadway when it was running, or they will never get to Broadway and it's still running,
right?
Like a Phantom of the Opera. So those things of just giving people access to shows, and like you said, where you can stop and start. You can watch it over time. These shows are recorded in real time so that if it's a 2-hour play or musical, it's shot in basically 2 hours, unlike a movie that a 2-hour movie will take, 6 to 9 months to shoot because it's one scene at a time. But that doesn't mean, that means that's how authentic it is because it was done in real time, but that doesn't mean that's how you need to consume it. So you can watch it 15 minutes if you'd like, and you have that option with a digital experience.
You can make the intermission anytime you want. Right.
You don't have to wait for the lights to flash.
Exactly.
And you don't have to wait online at the bathroom either.
That's Stu, that might be the most important point you're making here. You don't have to do that. And you can bring your own popcorn. So that part of it's
you're
good
saving
too.
money right there. My God.
Exactly. Summer's here. People are getting a chance to get away. And oftentimes they'll binge during the summer. I think that one of the fun things might be is if they would get a subscription to Broadway HD and take the summer to try to, explore some of the things that, that you may want to watch. We know people are always saying, well, I want to catch up on the shows that I missed. Well, here's an opportunity to catch up on some plays you may not have seen, or as you said before, may want to see.
I love it. I think that's a great idea.
It's like Broadway HD at the beach.
Yes, I love it.
Hey, can we have that one?
Yeah, I love that.
Take it. It's yours.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Broadway HD at the beach. Well, we have Carousel, and that takes place in, June is busting out all over.
That's true. I think that one of the fun things about it, the Broadway at the beach or Broadway in at the lake or wherever you happen to be able to get time to go and watch, you could actually, and I would strongly recommend this. I did this and it was fun. I had a group of people over to watch Puffs. So we had a watch party.
Fun.
So we had a watch party. And I think that, sometimes it's fun just to say, you know what? We got a Friday night. People are going to come over anyway. Let's have a party and let's pick a play. And let's make it a movie instead of a movie night. Let's make it a theater night, and even to the point where you might use the big screen or do something outdoors with it or something like that, where everybody can sit down, everybody can watch it, everybody can have fun with it.
Oh, that's a great idea, and we have heard about people doing that because we do have Apple TV and. Apps that you can put it on a big TV, and they are doing screening parties. And what's interesting, when people gather to watch the shows in a group, as if you were going to the theater, is found that so many people applaud during at the end of a musical number, as if, the same sort of behavior that you do if you were in a theater, they're doing that in their home. So as the audience is applauding, on screen in the theater, they're applauding too, which I just find that so, I don't know, I just find that so heartwarming that they're applauding the actors, even though they're on a screen.
No, I love it. Turn a show at Jim's place. Everybody, come on over.
Right. Come on over. I still have some wine left. It's the fun part, guys, is, and I've noticed this when you're showing this to a bunch of people, right? I'll use Phantom as an example. There are people who will ask you to literally stop the show so that they can and to rack back a scene, because they want to look at how it was staged. Because the Phantom you have, which was done, I believe, at the Royal, it was done in London, and I can't remember where it was done.
Royal Albert, it's one of the
yes,
Royal
thank
Albert
you. Royal Albert is not a theater.
Yes,
and
it's a hall.
It's
a gigantic,
right. It's like
a Radio City.
Right, like Radio City or even Carnegie Hall. But so it's not normally staged for a play. But the way it was done there, you're not going to see it done that way. And I think that's because I have people who've seen Phantom, myself included. You look at that, and it's not the way it was done, but it's such a creative and fun way that people literally ask you to stop it. They want to know and see where these actors are coming from. Oh. And so if you're a theater geek, it's great. If you're not a theater geek, it's entertaining. And it's just different than watching a movie. It's just, I can't explain it other than the fact that you're watching live people do live things in real time, and that doesn't happen in a movie. Well,
I think you get to appreciate even more so the effort that goes into it when you see them really, in real time working and sweating and dancing and at the end, catching their breath, holding for applause, and you think, my God, they do that not just once for the camera, but 8 performances a week. It's amazing.
Yep. Yeah. There was that great line from I forget what time. Neil Patrick Harris was hosting the Tony Awards, and there was a moment in his opening number where he had rushed back up on stage from the audience, where he had come down with the newsies chasing him down the aisle, and he comes up on stage and he gets that close up. So he has a CBS cameraman. He says, "Give me my close up," and he basically takes a shot at Les Mis, the movie, by saying, we do this live and we do it 8 days a week. And it was a brilliant line. It was also a brilliantly done opening number. But I think what happens now is people are saying to me, "Hey, what's the next play we're going to watch?"
Right, there you go.
I love it.
So they're inviting themselves over, which is fine. But but the fact of the matter is, it's not a movie night anymore. It's let's come over to Jim's house and watch a play.
Well, I was asked recently about the educational value of theater, and the same reason that going to see live theater is important. The digital experience can also capture that. So as I mentioned, that people are behaving in the same way as if they were in a theater with actors on the stage with applauding. They're also using a part of their brain that's very different than if you're watching a movie. Because if you're watching a movie, everything is special effects and literally there in front of you. So whether you're on the moon or underwater, you really see that. But on stage, you have to suspend disbelief. You have to use that creative part of your brain to go there and say, "Oh, okay, they're underwater," as you're watching two people, sit there. Or, one of our favorite shows for the last couple of seasons is Come From Away. And that's basically it's an airplane on stage, but the airplane on stage is made up of 10 chairs with the actors just moving them around. So there's never really an airplane there, but they keep telling you that they're on an airplane, and you just go along with that journey. And, in your mind there, you see the airplane. And it's just so creative and just uses a different part of your brain that people are, you need that now.
Sure, they're going to make a movie version of Come From Away, and I think you're going to lose the major magic, the theatricality that's involved with it, where you see them literally transform right before your eyes from a character, a passenger on a plane, to a character who's a citizen of the town that they've landed in. And it's like changing a hat or an expression on their face. And I don't think you'll be able to capture that in a movie, which is more literal.
I don't see it. I mean, I've seen the play, and to me, the impact is the fact that it's a very minimalist play. I just don't see how it translates. I
would bet that it's going to be a real airplane in the movie.
Special thanks to Stu Lane and Bonnie Comley from Broadway HD. As I said before, Beach Binge this week. Absolutely got to do it. Broadway HD, check out Kinky Boots. We'll be back with more right after these words.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW I, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, if you're not one of the over 50,000 people who've taken the time to subscribe to our podcast, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we certainly do make it simple. All you have to do is go out to iTunes. You can find us as part of the Apple Podcast family. You can do the same thing if you go to Google Play, because we're part of the Google Podcast family. We're on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, to name a few. Now, if for some reason you can't find us, then just pull out the old Google machine, type in Stream On with Jim Williams, and hit the favorite button or the subscribe button, and each week you get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone, to your tablet, or hopefully to both, okay? Now, one other quick thing. If you happen to have an iPhone, all right, you get Apple News. What we want you to do is we want you to subscribe to our 3 times a week column, which is, of course, Stream On with Jim Williams, the column. And we cover all types of streaming video information from not just the U.S., but also Canada, the U.K., Australia, and New Zealand. So check that out in any of those countries on Apple News. So all you have to do is search Stream On with Jim Williams on Apple News, subscribe to it, and you'll get that 3 times a week. Okay, so the podcast and, of course, the Apple News column right to your phone. Free and easy, okay? So go out and subscribe to both of those today. Greatly appreciate. Speaking of greatly appreciate our guests this week, of course, 2 good friends, and that is Stu Lane and Bonnie Comley, the forces behind the outstanding streaming service Broadway HD. As we said before, the Beach Binge this weekend, Kinky Boots. They were the executive producers of it. Check it out on Broadway HD, Kinky Boots, and plenty of other outstanding content right there on Broadway HD. So that's what we'd like to thank. We'd like to thank them for coming over and joining us this week. Speaking of joining us next week, it's going to be Soumya Siraman, who is the president of BritBox, the BBC ITV streaming service here in the United States. Plenty of outstanding stuff they've got coming our way this fall. So we're going to be talking to Soumya Siraman, the president of BritBox from BBC ITV. It's an outstanding service, and they've got some really fun stuff coming up in the fall that Soumya's going to talk to us about. So coming to us next week, it'll be Soumya Siraman, president of BritBox, and then, of course, as I said before, the BBC ITV streaming service here in the U.S. Okay? So until then, have a wonderful and safe week, and we will see you next time right here on Stream On with Jim Williams.